I mean, they're linemen. They're ready to go and sprint into action and get out and restore your power, but they're obviously just blowing off a little steam right now. Guy's got a pretty good flex. All right, I want to show you what kind of wind we got here in this area coming around the corner. It's pretty strong. Remember I told you last time, we're standing between two buildings, so we're seeing the wind accelerate a little bit, and it's hammering. All right, so think about being on the top of some of these buildings where there's nothing to block it at all. There's 58, 63. So coming in here with the protection of the building, we're down to 20, 10. Even less. So big difference, guys, obviously, in where you position yourself. But it's the kind of winds like this with the Venturi effect that we've been talking about that get to cause the damage. And we've certainly seen that. Paul Gilla's been reporting in the French Quarter with some of the roof damage that we've seen down and through there. We've had winds gusting to hurricane force here in New Orleans. And it's not just between two buildings. All right, out toward the airport, some personal weather stations and Davis weather stations, which are very representative of true data that have gusted that strong. You can see what the wind's done, though, through these buildings. It's actually pushed dumpsters. Some of these were half full, still have some trash in them. But when you get out here, it's just a whole different world, certainly, of what we're dealing with. So, guys, be careful. We're just starting to see that kind of outer eye wall come in through New Orleans. Now we got a long way to go. Power up as far as the eye can see. You can see some of the street lights behind me here that are still displaying the power. So that is at least some good news. Big difference between when Katrina came through here, obviously 16 years ago to the date, eerily enough, and when we had a lot of exposure, both from the levee and the risk reduction and also the electric grid. They've taken care of a lot of that since then, and this is obviously the biggest test that New Orleans has undergone. We're not in the woods yet. We haven't dealt with the worst of this. We will over the next several hours into here, and many more of you will lose power. Right now, currently, about 675,000 customers without power in Louisiana alone. All right, Carl Parker, let's talk about this, where this eye wall is in places like Houma, in places like LaRose. What kind of readings are we getting pressure-wise, and wind? Is this thing winding down at all?
Sorry, Jim, I didn't hear that last part of the question, but I'll tell you the winds are still howling there. We're still getting winds gusting over 80 miles per hour in Galliano, and now that secondary eye wall pushing more to the north. Category 4 storm, 140 mile per hour winds. This thing made landfall technically, but it's been moving through very wet areas, intertidal areas in southern Louisiana. And you look at the structure on satellite, I mean, it really hasn't lost a thing here. This is still an incredibly powerful storm that is coming up through this region. Extreme wind warning in effect for possible 115 mile per hour winds with the inner eye wall and with the secondary eye wall, the outer bounds of which are now beginning to approach New Orleans. I'll show you that in a second. Grand Isle still seeing winds to 68 miles per hour. Galliano, as I mentioned, 81 miles per hour. Look at these reports. Leeville, a wind gust to 153 miles per hour, and Duloc, a gust to 138 miles per hour. Incredible wind with this storm. And as we look at what's going on farther north, that secondary eye wall now coming into Des Allemands and Thibodaux as well, Jean Lafitte. Even though the center of the storm is working more to the northwest, this sort of secondary eye wall here has been expanding out to the northeast, which is not a surprise. Not a surprise to see that wind field expand after landfall. And so as that starts to come into New Orleans, for as strong as the winds are right now, I think they're going to get even stronger with that band as it moves off to the north. So hurricane force winds going on for several hours there in New Orleans. Here you see the winds gusting to 71 miles per hour at the lakefront and gusting to 38 miles per hour in Slidell. So here's the model forecast. I want you to notice how this area of strong winds associated with the core of the storm is just sitting over New Orleans and surrounding areas well into this evening. Finally starts to move out overnight tonight and then moves up into southern Mississippi very very strong winds on the way there. Baton Rouge, you could be in for one heck of a windstorm going forward. And in fact, widespread power outages are expected from New Orleans all the way up into Baton Rouge. And stay with our Weather Channel team of veteran meteorologists throughout Hurricane Ida. We'll have continuing coverage through the night tonight. We've got live teams spread out all across the Gulf Coast, and you can download our app on your TV, existing cable